really hope my parents are not listening to this episode. Like, Mom and Dad, please stop listening.
Who are you?
Whoever you want me to be.
Don't say I never gave you anything.
It's feeling epic.
3 words. 8 letters.
I remember everything.
Hello. Welcome to another episode of Previously on Teen TV. I'm Jillian Benani.
I'm Claire Wojciechowski.
And let's talk about sex, baby. We are talking all about sex education today. The new season is coming out this week. So we are going to get all into seasons 1 through 3 before season 4, which is the final season, premieres.
I know. I'm excited. I am fresh off a season 3 watch, and I'm looking forward to more episodes with the students of Moordale Secondary.
And you fully binged season 3, Claire, which is very unlike you. So I'm excited to tell us about that journey.
Thank you. I started yesterday morning, actually about 12 hours ago, and I started watching on the subway train home. And if you've watched season 3 of Sex Education, you know that it begins with a fucking montage. And so I was on the subway just being like, yes. And like, who's that? Oh, they're in a car. They're in a trailer. They're here.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That is amazing. I hope somebody on that subway saw you watching this.
I kind of do too. And I was like, yeah, set to Tiffany's. I Think We're Alone Now.
Oh yeah.
Which is
it's so good.
An incredible song choice for that moment. And then the rest of it I mostly watched at home and finished at 11:30 last night.
Well, great work.
Thank you.
I'm happy that you binged it. I love to binge. I get a big high off of it. So
I know. I feel like you're like, I want more. And
yeah.
I'm a little bit like...
You like to savor it.
I do.
Yeah, which is probably healthy.
I don't know. I mean, I think sometimes a binge, like you said, it's exhilarating.
It is. So yeah, I actually just started watching this show recently. I don't know why I did not watch it before. Like, I just feel like no one I knew was really talking about it. And I think I was like confused about the title. I didn't know what it was about. I didn't understand it was like a teen show.
Oh, okay.
And then when I discovered that, I was like, why haven't I watched this? So fell in love with it right away. I actually think that this is like a top teen show. This is a good, well done show for sure.
Absolutely. I think it's one that has been like critically acclaimed as a bit strong, but like it's been positively received by critics, by TV writers, but it never gets that popularity of like a sexier show, even though it is sex education. It's not as flashy or shiny, I guess. So it's strong in the ratings, I think, whenever a new season comes out, and it's beloved, but it's not quite as like zeitgeisty as another teen show might be.
As like Euphoria or something.
Yes, exactly.
Which I do think there's a lot of similarities to Euphoria, but we'll get into that in a little bit. But yeah, I feel like I just really fell in love with this show mainly because of these characters.
Yeah.
I mean, I like everybody on the show.
Yes, agreed.
Which is shocking. There also is so many characters, and they all have a backstory, a story that we're following. Like, we know who these characters are. No one is there just to fill space.
No.
And I think that that's like very rare in one of these shows.
It's hard to achieve. And I was a little nervous jumping into season 3 because I was like, I remember like the bigger characters and like what happened, but I was like, but there are certain like smaller characters, and I'm like, what's their name again? Like, I can picture their face, but I couldn't remember their name or their plot line. But as soon as we jumped into season 3, I was like, oh right, that's Ruby and Olivia, and that's that's Adam's mom, whose name is Maureen. I know that her name is Maureen now, but I didn't.
love Maureen.
Maureen is a gem.
So sweet.
Yeah. But they do a great job of spreading out the storylines and keeping people together and sort of intermixing them. And yeah, it's just really well done.
I also feel like we actually, like, over these first 3 seasons, we've actually seen characters like grow.
Absolutely.
8 episodes a season, and they managed to achieve like so much character growth in those 8 episodes. Like so much does actually happen. And I think that in some of these other kind of, you know, new age teen shows, in 8 episodes, it's like a month has gone by or something. And we're really just like not seeing that much. And I just feel like in this show, I love that, you know, we're able to watch them grow and like, be, you know, find out who they are, make some mistakes along the way, as high schoolers do. You know, who are some of your like favorite characters in this and story, like, and their journeys?
I mean, I think probably my favorite character is Maeve.
Obviously.
Right?
I mean, love.
She's just like, she's so tough, but still so kind and has been through so much, but still manages to be a really good friend to Amy and to approach the world with like a take no shit attitude, but she's also not cruel or mean.
Right.
And she's tough to let people, she is reluctant to let people into her life, but when she does, she really shows up for them. So I think I also, speaking of that, I love Amy. I think that she's an underrated character. I don't think I appreciated her as much in the first 2 seasons, but in season 3, I was really like impressed by their friendship. So I think those are my top 2. What about you?
I think it makes sense that your favorite character is Maeve. You give me some Maeve energy, and I mean that in the best way.
Thank you. I feel like we have some similarities in background a little bit.
Definitely. Yeah. My favorite character is Amy.
Oh
my We're Maeve and Amy. I loved Amy from the start.
Oh my gosh.
Literally the minute that girl was on screen, I was like, I love her. I think she's so funny. I think she is so loyal to Maeve and is such a good friend to her. And just like watching, you know, her journey and, you know, her sexual assault storyline, I thought was just so well done. And was, you know, definitely, I think, one of the like pivotal moments of the show. I just thought that. And just watching her, you know, still going through that journey. I like that they did not just like cut that storyline out. They kept it in like season 3. So we really, you know, we're watching her go through it. And I like that, you know, she's sensitive and we see her emotions and she just kind of like lays it all out there. And I love her. And I think she's so funny.
Yeah.
And that goat.
The goat whose name is Goat.
Yeah, classic. I just love how she calls everyone babes. I think it's so cute. I feel like I'm going to start doing that. So watch out, babes. It's coming.
Should we start like being each other's moms too?
I loved that.
I thought that was so sweet.
That literally made me cry. I would say for a show that is labeled as a comedy, like I have not cried more in a teen show than I have this show.
It is emotional for all the characters at different points in time, and it's very emotional, but it's also not like dark and scary. Like there's some sad stuff that happens, but it's never like really, really fucked up or anything. Not like some other teen shows.
I think it's still, they keep it, you know, heartwarming still. So there are some like very serious storylines. We're seeing people really going through it, but they keep it, you know, they keep it very like earnest and heartwarming and like, yeah, they're dealing with some really like fucked up shit.
Yeah.
But they like don't lose sight of like the fact that, you know, they're still growing as teenagers and that this is all just like part of the process.
Right.
And I think that like they really do a good job of showcasing that like for this generation. And I think that that's why I love it so much too, because it's so different from like the shows that like we more grew up watching. You know, we actually see them having like awkward sex, like, and actually talking about it.
Yes, they talk about sex more than I've ever talked about it maybe in my life. Like in like an episode, there's just so much discussion about it and so much openness and frankness. Like it's just very matter of fact, like this is what we're doing and this is our lives. And I think something that really encapsulated that for me was the final episode of season 3 when Otis is talking to Hope. and she's like, oh, our generation, I'm not much older than you, but, you know, we understood how there was a way that you had to do things and the way you had to carry yourself. And he says, people have always felt this way. There's always been people dealing with this. They're just now more willing to talk about it. And I think that's so true.
100%. And I feel like I really love that scene because I feel like it did perfectly describe, you know, that it was just like different for us. And I love that this new generation is like able to like speak up and speak out and like be a little bit more honest about like their feelings and that they're actually like showing that in this show. Like we see the characters communicating so much with each other. And it's just like such a breath of fresh air. I mean, I just feel like the shows that we grew up watching, it was so much like people aren't really dealing with the issues. They're not fully like communicating. And we're like, maybe a couple ends up like having sex, but like it's perfect and it's beautiful, even though she wanted to wait till marriage. Like it's like, I mean, the waiting for marriage storylines were crazy.
Or like a special night, like it's like prom night or some special event. Like it's like, why? For what? Like, and also, no, does anyone really do that? Like,
no, it's just unrealistic.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
And I think that, you know, that's just really partly why I love this show. You know, at 30 years old, you're really learning about yourself when you're watching Sex Education.
Is there anything that you learned like about yourself? I'm not necessarily about like, or it could be about like, is there anything you learned about yourself or just like about sex in general? Just like something like I never knew that was like a thing that people did or a thing that people were interested in, or maybe like, oh, I feel this way about this. Like, did it bring up anything?
So I really like the storyline when Amy started dating Steve, who was like a nice boy and was like caring about her like during sex and was like, I feel like you're like performing and that this is like what do you want? And I do feel like honestly, like, you know, when you first start having sex, it's like you are just kind of like doing what you saw on like TV shows. And like I'm definitely influenced like by TV. So I feel like I was just kind of like, you know, not really communicating like my wants and needs. And I just thought it was like refreshing to like see that portrayed like on a TV show of her like going through that journey of like figuring out, you know, what works for her and communicating that to him. Because like, you know, guys don't know right away. Like, let's be honest. So, I mean, nobody knows.
Nobody knows right away.
Right when you get into it. But, so I really did, you know, I just think that I was kind of like, oh, shit. Like, I think I did that for like a couple of years, you know, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Just learned about this yesterday. No. Still doing it. I really hope my parents are not listening to this episode. Like, Mom and Dad, please stop listening.
But no, but they should be like, we should be, I mean, not with our parents, but I think in general, you know.
Like talking about
sex makes it less shameful. Like, I think that's the thesis of the show is like, it shouldn't be shameful because shame is like the bad thing. Yeah. Shame is what causes the harm.
Totally.
Yeah.
Claire, what about you? What'd you learn? What are you learning on this by watching teenagers have sex on this show?
Mine was a little more practical.
Okay.
But I just didn't know. I think in season 2 with Lily, when she's trying to have sex with Ola and she's like, it's just not like happening. Like she's like, it's just too tight.
Yeah.
And she finds this vaginal dilator kit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I didn't know that was a thing. Like, and I don't know why I didn't know that was a thing. It just never occurred to me because I knew that there were like Kegel balls or whatever to tighten it up down there, but I didn't know the opposite was true. And I was like, oh, that's great. Like, thanks, Sex Education.
I did not know that either. And I also felt connected to that storyline a little bit as well, if I'm being honest. So, you know, some of us have a hard time letting go. I'll just say that. I think I just felt like kind of seen by a lot of these storylines. And I wish that there was a show like this when we were teenagers. And I feel like we would have been better about communicating about sex.
We wouldn't be laughing at this right now. We'd just be like talking about it.
I know.
Yeah.
We're so repressed.
I know. We're trying to undo all of the damage done to us.
We are. Well, did you have sex education in high school?
We did not have a proper sex education, or SRE as they call it in the show, which I assume is sex and reproductive education.
I didn't know what that was either.
That
And I
was
was like, the fact that we don't know what it is bad.
I just guessed. I should have looked it up. I didn't.
Like, I knew it was like sex education, but I'm like, what is that R for?
So I did not have a sex education dedicated course. We did have a health class that was mandatory. Everyone in my high school had to take health class for a semester in order to graduate. And there was a section in health class that was about like STI prevention. And I think they probably mentioned, pregnancy and the basics of
Right.
it. But like no one ever came in and like put a condom on a banana.
Same.
So
No.
I'm like, that would have actually been fucking useful.
I know.
Yeah.
I had a very similar experience where it was just like a part of health class.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm pretty sure that they just talked about abstinence. Like, it was very much like kind of similar to Mean Girls. Like, if you have sex, you will die.
Yes.
And it was just like ridiculous. And I feel like the teacher barely even like spoke about it. And
Yeah.
I just remember even being like then like let down about it.
Yeah.
That I felt sad that like I didn't get that kind of like education about it at all, which
Right.
is sad.
Yeah. We did all watch like a birthing movie in health class, which
Oof.
was, yes, boys and girls all together watching a baby.
Oh,
And that was
God.
like, everyone was like, wow, we don't need to see this. Like, that is something
Right.
where I'm like, tell me how to prevent this. I don't need to see a child emerging from the womb.
Oh, that's
unnecessary.
insane.
Like, that's not super helpful. I
But
guess.
again, that's a plot point in the show.
Yes,
then
it's like a
they
scare
like,
tactic.
Yeah, where they then bring back like how we were taught about sex, and it's so ridiculous.
Yeah. So what were some of your favorite storylines from the first 3 seasons?
So much to choose from. I think that I really love it when like the characters all kind of like come together with a common goal, even if they didn't all like each other. Like in the last season when they all came together to like go against, the head teacher, Hope. I feel like I really like that storyline. And I think I love it when characters who normally like wouldn't really be together, it's like
Yeah.
the Breakfast Club,
Yeah, for
like trope. It's like, I love it when it's like we see people who normally don't hang out actually hang out.
Yeah, we get that, I think, in maybe one of the best storylines with Amy and the bus, where
I love it.
all the girls are in detention. They would never normally talk to each other, and then they start opening up and they start sharing about different assaults and harassment they've experienced. And then at the end, of course, they all show up to ride the bus with Amy. That's a beautiful moment in the show.
I cried. I love
Yes.
that moment so much. They did that so well. I mean, I thought that was so great, and just shows like when women come together,
Yes.
what happens, and I love that.
Yeah, it's a wonderful moment. I also really liked back in season 1 when Maeve has an abortion,
Great storyline.
because it's handled with so much care and compassion for her that like this is a hard thing to do. Even if it's like the right choice for her,
Yeah.
it's still difficult, and it's still, in her case, can be really lonely and isolating because she doesn't really tell anybody except for Otis, because
Right.
she has to have someone there.
Yeah.
And I think that seeing her go through that and sort of being resolute in her decision, but still like acknowledging that it's not easy. And then she meets this other woman who's having to go through abortion number whatever because she just can't afford to keep having children.
Yeah.
I think that was really well done. And I don't, so few shows actually have abortions in them.
I know.
There's always, it gets talked about, and then in typical teen shows, they don't do it. They keep the baby or they lose the baby, or, abortion is just a bad thing. And I think it was nice to see a teen show present it as a real and viable option for women.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of shows wouldn't even say the word abortion. So I think that how this show like handled that storyline was just so like refreshing and
Yeah.
nice to see. And and actually like showcasing that, yes, it is an option for you. And another storyline that I love is just Eric.
I love Eric.
I love Eric. Like his journey and seeing him come into his own, be proud of who he is, accepting of who he is, I think has been just one of the highlights of the show for me.
Yeah.
And just seeing him be like joyful is so like, it just like, oh, I love it so much.
I agree. Eric is, he just like brings the humor in a way, but also just like the positivity. Like he's such a good friend to Otis, and he is by the end of season 3 unwilling to compromise his own joy and his own happiness. And that's really, really nice to see when he's done that a little bit in the earlier seasons.
I think it's nice to see that he knows who he is now, and he's like not ashamed of it, and he's just ready to fly.
Yes.
And that's what we want in these shows. Like we want to see these characters grow and like become the person that they're like meant to be.
Yeah.
And I feel like now we've, I think he's kind of found himself maybe a little bit before some of the other characters too. So it's nice to like see that journey.
Yeah.
For sure.
I just love all the friendships. All the like Maeve and Amy we've talked about.
Yeah.
Otis and Eric.
Love them.
So adorable. But also like Ola and Adam becoming friends.
Yes.
And showing up for each other. And like the mean clique, like when Ruby is and Olivia and Anwar, even though like she kind of treats them like crap, at the end when she's broken up with Otis and she's sad, she like finally tells them where she lives so that they can come over and be there for her. And so I just appreciate all of those friendships amongst the characters, and Viv and Jackson too.
I love their friendship.
Yes, so
that
sweet.
That was such like a delight. I feel like
in season
when that storyline
2
started happening. Yeah, they started becoming friends in season 2, and then we see it a lot like throughout season 3.
Yeah.
And again, I think the show is really great when it is like bringing people together who normally would not,
absolutely
interact. Should we get into season 3 a little bit?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
I'm just gonna come out and say it.
Okay, I'm ready.
I kind of liked Ruby and Otis. I thought that was like a cute relationship, and I wanted to see it play out a little bit more. I thought we cut that short.
I agree a little to an extent. No, to an extent. I think it could have been going on a little bit longer, but I was not upset when they broke up. I was like, well, yeah, because he's got to be with Maeve. Like,
I know. Like, I get that. I think I was just so surprised by Ruby and Otis that it worked for me. I like that she really opened up to him, and we really saw who she was. And I thought that he, was so sweet to her, and like really started like not to become an asshole, like when he was dating her. And I just think, they were funny together. It was just like a very cute relationship. I also think that I love it when like someone who's super popular dates, the nerd. I love that trope. It never gets old to me. I love it.
I see that, but I do think that like Ruby was still trying to change him so much. And even though she sort of backs away from that, she still like, I think in her mind would have preferred him to be what she wanted him to be. And I think that Maeve from the beginning sort of didn't ever really directly address it. Like Otis was like, look at me, like this is what she's doing, and she was just like, you're being stupid. So I don't know. I don't think it would have lasted.
Yeah, I get that. I think though that I think it was a good like high school relationship to see. And I think that that's what relationships should be like in high school. Just kind of a little lighter, a little fun. Like I like that Ruby and Otis were like having fun together, and like learning new things like through each other. Otis, learned about the Kardashians, which is needed. So I think that plot device I think is interesting to see, of these two opposites being together. And I think that I wish that we could have seen them together a little bit longer, and like him fall for her a little bit more, because I think that that's realistic.
Yeah.
And I think that it could have been fun then if we like built this into a little bit more of a love triangle of like, will it be Ruby or will it be Maeve? You know, I think that that could have been really good to see.
Yeah, we didn't really get any true love triangles.
There was a little bit with Ola and Maeve, but no one was rooting for Ola. You know?
No. And then even like at the very end with Otis and Isaac, but it was sort of like Isaac was like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I'm not competing.
I think too that obviously I was a fan of Maeve and Otis. I mean, I just think that they've drawn it out now so much, and I'm like, maybe they just shouldn't be together if we're still going back and forth on this. Like, Ruby loves you. Give her a little bit more of a chance. Come on.
Okay. I don't know. I root for them. I feel like they understand each other in a really weird way, because they are also, again, they're still opposites. But they have in common that they sort of enjoy helping people, that they care enough to stand up for what they believe in. Like, even after the clinic is done and Maeve is like, you should still do it. Like, she's still speaking up in class, and she's still, trying to make sure that people have access to the right information, because that's who she is fundamentally as a person. And I think that they share that.
Yeah, I definitely think they do. I just don't think it will be as like fun to watch when they get together. If they get together, I just think that it's like, this is really built on like, oh, will they, won't they? And then I do feel like if they do get together, it won't be as great as what we think it's going to be.
Well,
said it.
I don't disagree with you, because it's hard to keep that momentum going.
Yeah.
And I think when you have a 8-episode season and it's like a Netflix show, a streaming show, that they don't let those couples run for as long, because they just know that they don't have as much runway. So it is so much of it is will they, won't they, and then a breakup, and then they're kept apart because they just don't have the space to have them be together and break up and back and forth like a broadcast show would. Right. Which I think is, again, what they did. They kind of got together, and then Maeve was like, I have to go to America, which how she got that passport overnight, someone explained to me, but I think
I was just guessing she already had a passport.
That's what I put a lot of thought into that, and I don't know why.
You can't look into this stuff, Claire. You cannot look into that.
My thought was, though, is that she would have applied for it when she applied for the program.
Claire gets into the details, and you can't look in the details on these shows.
I typically
You gotta
don't.
just enjoy the ride.
I let it go. I don't care anymore. She was on a bus, presumably to an airport. I don't know, but anyway.
So what'd you think about that ending, that she went off? What were your thoughts?
I mean, I think it was the right choice for her, and I appreciated that he was like, no, you have to go, because what else can you say in that situation? And it's also like, it's not like she's moving away forever.
Yeah.
She's doing like a set time program. And I think that when they come back in season 4, they're not going to get back together right away, because I'm assuming time will have passed and things will have happened. And I imagine that season 4 will be them finding their way back to each other, is my guess.
We also had, a big breakup with Adam and Eric, which I was really sad about.
I was too.
I love Adam. Hated him at first.
Agreed.
Love him. We need to protect him at all costs. Like, what? Like a character transformation?
I just want like him to get a really good therapist.
I know.
Like somebody to dig in with him, because he is fucked up from all sides, but still trying so hard. And it's just like, ugh.
Him trying so hard is like literally just makes me want to curl up in the fetal position. Like, those scenes where he's like trying to communicate how he's feeling and doesn't know how to is so good. And like, but then at times he brings like a humor to the show too. Like, it is so fascinating. I don't think I've ever seen like a character like this at all. I feel like on Euphoria they were like kind of trying to do that with like Nate Jacobs, Jacob Elordi's character. Like, he's all fucked up from like his dad issues and all that stuff, and it's just like completely not done in the same way. And it is like, I mean, this storyline is just so much better with Adam. It's like insane. But so I was sad to see Eric and Adam break up because I wanted to see a little bit more of the relationship. I think I get why they break up. I mean, they're in completely different places, like with their sexuality. So I think that, Eric needed to do that for himself, for the place that he was at. And Adam is just really not in that place.
I agree. I understand why they did it, but at the same time, I was like, I like them together, and I also started worrying. I'm like, is Adam going to backslide? Is he going to revert to who he was before he started dating Eric, and be angry and a jerk? So I appreciated him finally telling his mom that Eric was his boyfriend, but isn't anymore. But he still didn't say that he's bisexual. He hasn't talked to his dad yet, and that man needs some help too. So. I know. I'm interested to see where they go in season 4 with the two of them, because I'm rooting for them both together and separately.
Do you think Adam's gonna date Raheem now? They were kind of really bringing them together. Do you think that's gonna be something we see in season 4?
I think it might be, just because it's complicated and messy. I do like them as friends for sure.
Yeah.
And I can't decide if I like them theoretically as a couple because of the drama that it would bring, or if I'm I want them to just stay friends and have Adam maybe date somebody else. Wouldn't it be funny if he started dating, I don't know, Anwar? I don't know who Anwar's boyfriend is.
I feel like we also maybe need to see Adam a little bit on his own.
We do, absolutely. He needs to take a page out of everyone else's book, because they're all, choosing themselves at the end of season 3.
Yeah, I think Adam does need to choose himself, definitely, and work through these issues that are still very much there. But I want to see him with someone and happy, because I think it's so cute and sweet.
I know.
But I don't love Raheem, so I don't think I want to see Adam and Raheem together. I mean, their friendship scenes were fine for me. But, I'll watch them make out, but I don't need to see them date.
Yeah, which I'm fine with. Yeah, but I don't think they're compatible as a couple.
No. And I'm just over Raheem, to be honest. But
So do we want to talk about the adults a little bit?
Let's talk about the adults a little bit.
I think we see, Jean and Jakob have their baby.
But it's not their baby.
It seems to be not his baby, which is a twist that I honestly did not need.
I completely agree. I mean, because I just thought that was too much. We watched them all season, try to come together and realize that they should be together and that they can work on this.
Yeah.
We watched an entire season of that, and then to just kind of throw that away, that it's not his baby, really annoyed me.
I know, because and you could still have drama with them disagreeing on parenting styles.
Right. I would like to watch that.
Yes, or the fact that they haven't been together that long, as they've talked about, they're still learning about each other. That could be interesting drama for the final season. We don't need a secret paternity twist. That just seems a little unnecessary for me.
I agree. You know who I want to talk about a little bit?
Who?
Lily.
Okay.
I love Lily. I love her little alien erotica. I mean, again, another similarity to Euphoria. I love Lily and her erotica and her penis fingers. I love that she is just herself.
Yes.
I also love them showcasing her writing the erotica. As somebody who read fan fiction a lot in high school and still sometimes to today, not ashamed to say that Lily helped me realize I shouldn't be ashamed about it.
There you go.
But I like that storyline, and I liked I thought it was just so sad when she felt like she couldn't be herself, and when Hope was shaming her.
I know.
For writing that. And when Otis goes to talk to her and he says, you're an artist. That was such a beautiful scene and so true.
Yeah.
So I've really enjoyed watching her journey. And I just think any time on these shows when someone is just being themselves and they're different, it's so beautiful to watch, honestly.
Yeah. I think Lily she's so quirky and so weird, but so like everybody knew a kid like that in high school.
Yeah.
That was just so into whatever they were into and was unapologetic about it.
Yeah.
And I really think that that's great that she has representation, that she, like you said, is so established in like her passions as an artist, and that Otis supports that, and that Ola maybe doesn't understand it or agree with it, but also like is rooting for her and supports her in pursuing that.
Yeah.
And then at the end, she has a little fan come up and ask for an autograph. And I was like,
I love that. And you know what? Those people like that in high school become the most successful.
Yes.
That, I mean, without fail, I feel like that's what happens every time. So we're rooting for you, Lily.
Yeah. Maybe Lily should sell a book and buy the school and keep it open.
I would love that. So that is another plot twist from season 3. The school is gone.
I know.
Where are they all going to school next season?
Well, it says they say, oh, you have until the end of the term to find new schooling. But I don't know, maybe that's part of the different journeys that they're taking. They're all going to different schools and having to figure out, who they are away from the sex school.
Right. And kind of like away from each other a
Yeah.
little bit, which again, that makes me a little nervous about season 4. I don't love too much change, but I trust these creators. I trust these writers. So I think it will be great. But I'll be sad to see the school go.
I will too. Yeah.
beautiful.
I was a little sad when they tore down the bathrooms.
Oh, I know.
Those dirty, dirty bathrooms.
Oh my God. Absolutely disgusting. When I was watching that, I was like, okay, production design went a little too far in how gross this is.
They were horrible. And I'm like, I get if you're desperate, that's where you go. But like, that's where you're hooking up on the skanky ass, nasty sewage bathrooms. But listen, if you got to do what you got to do.
I mean, the amount of sex that is happening during school hours at that school is quite wild. Do you think people were having sex like at high school? Like
in my high school?
I mean, I guess I didn't really know about it if people were doing
I don't think
it.
people were having that much, as much as on the show.
Well, yeah.
And certainly not just like out in the open. Like when they're on that trip to France, at one point Maeve is walking through the woods and there's 2 people just fucking on like a log and she just walks by them.
Have you noticed though it's like always the same couple?
Yes, it's the same like
I
super
think
horny
that's
couple.
Funny.
I do think it's funny. Just like them openly fucking in the middle of the woods was a little jarring for me. Like them making out all over the place. I'm like, sure.
Yeah.
But that was like a lot.
It's like, whoa.
So I don't think that happened in my high school that I saw.
We need a Gen Z to
We need a correspondent.
write in and
Yes.
let me know, are people having sex at school? I need to know.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit about what we think is going to happen in season 4. What are your season 4 predictions?
I think in season 4 that the kids might come together, or the adults might come together and find a way to save the school somehow. Because it seems like they need a lot of money, or like an angel investor or something like that. So I think they're going to find a way to save Moordale Secondary. I think that we are going to get some breakups, some getting back together. I do think Maeve and Otis are going to end up together at the end, or at least like come together with like a look toward the future.
Yeah.
It seems like that's what they're building us towards. I think that, Amy's going to continue on her journey of self-discovery. And part of me is like, should she end up with a boyfriend? But I feel like also maybe not. Maybe she's totally single and figuring herself out. I really want to know like what happens with these adults. Like, are they growing? Are Jean and Jakob going to figure out this child situation? Are they going to stay a family with Otis and Ola because they brought them together very quickly,
right,
and there were growing pains there? Is that going to last?
I mean, that got real messy.
Yeah. Or is Adam's parents were hinting at a reconciliation and now it seems they're not. Are they going to come together in some way for him? Like, so I just have a lot of questions.
I know. It is kind of hard to predict like what will happen in season 4, because I think that this show does a good job of kind of surprising you with a lot of these storylines. So I predict in season 4, I do think that in the end, Maeve and Otis are going to end up together, which I would be happy about. But I do think while Maeve is gone, I feel like they're going to try and like make this work like long distance a little bit, which I am not a fan of long distance for teenagers. Like, absolutely not. Like, I think it's so
interesting.
I think it's like damaging. I don't think that teenagers should be in a long distance relationship. So I would say with Otis and Maeve, I don't then want to see them like try and work it out long distance. I think in the end they'll still end up together.
Yeah.
But I almost think that they're like a little bit more of like an adult relationship. Like they would do really well like in their 20s together.
I agree. I assumed that they were just like putting it on pause. Like they weren't going to try and keep it going. I think my interpretation of the finale was that they're like, okay, like we're going to go our separate ways. And she's like, I'll see you when I get back and we'll see what happens. But who knows?
But I do think Ruby and Otis are going to date again in season 4. Because, like, what else is he going to do? Are they going to introduce us to, like, a new girl? No, I don't want that.
No, we have 1,000 kids at the school already.
Yeah, there's a lot of characters on this show that I'm already struggling to keep up with. I think you're right. I think we're going to see a lot of people more being on their own. Because we've seen a lot of these kids in relationships a lot. And kind of like navigating that. And I think that we're going to see a lot more of them, you know, finding themselves on their own, what that looks like. I definitely think that Amy will for sure go on like a journey of self-discovery because we've only seen her with boyfriends on this show. And I think that she's going to open up a bake shop and just do really well and just kill it.
Just vulva cupcakes for everyone.
Yes. The vulva cupcakes are going to take off in season 4 for sure. What else? I think that, you know, I feel like we're going to see a lot with Adam in season 4, and I really hope that he does reconcile with his dad, and we see, you know, them working out their issues together because I feel like they do both want that.
Yeah.
So,
I want Jackson to get a proper love interest.
Agreed.
Because he, you know, he was kind of with Maeve in season 1, but like she wasn't as into it. And then in season 2, he's like figuring himself out and is, you know, becoming friends with Viv. Season 3, he's like exploring things with Cal, and then that doesn't work out, which I think was very valid and very mature of Cal to be like, you're not ready for this, and I'm not ready to carry you through this.
Right.
So I want Jackson to just get like a straight I was going to say a straight up, I want Jackson to get just a classic love interest that without too many hiccups.
Yeah, I think that I do want to like see him happy like in a relationship because I feel like we haven't really gotten that.
No.
And I feel like for him, we really went through his individual story already. And we haven't really done that as much with everyone else. And I really did enjoy his swimming storyline, not just because I was a swimmer in high school, but I just thought that was like really relatable of showing the pressure of the parents and like you've just been doing something for so long, you're expected to keep doing it. And I think that that's just such a realistic storyline for high schoolers that we really like don't see all the time. And I hope like, you know, young people were watching that and realize like just because you're good at something too doesn't mean you need to do it if you don't enjoy it. So, yeah, I would love to see him go on a little bit more of a relationship journey now that we got through his, like, personal story. I feel like already. I think Cal's going to be a bigger part in season 4, which I am excited about. I think that that's an important storyline. And they just handle it all, like, so well.
Right. I really appreciated the scene in the finale with Cal teaching, is it Layla? In my brain, I want to say Lila, or Layla, the other non-binary student. About binding.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, I would love to see that friendship. Not necessarily, it doesn't need to be romantic. It just, I want them to be friends and so that they know that they have each other as support and have another person in the school to lean on.
Yeah, I don't want it to be romantic.
No.
I think that it would be better to see them, you know, lean on each other and be friends and, you know, have an ally.
Yeah.
And I know that we also are getting a lot of new characters in season 4, so I think that will be really interesting. But I'm really excited to see where it goes, and it's the final season, so very sad to see this show end, but I'm excited to see what they do with it and see, you know, what happens with these characters that we just love so much.
I know. And honestly, can we just take a moment to talk about these actors?
Yes.
They are all individually like killing it outside of this show. I don't like, it's hard to find like another Netflix show where it's like, oh no, they're all working on multiple projects. Like 5 of them were in Barbie alone, which is incredible. So
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. Eric and Adam and Maeve were all in Barbie.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I did not put that together.
Yes. And then also, Adam and Lily were both in the Anya Taylor-Joy's version of Emma.
Oh, right.
They were both in that.
No, I love that when we get like a show where like the young talent then is like taken, you know, and used for like a bunch of other projects. And I do think all these actors on this show are so good, and that's partly like what makes it so great too. I think that a lot of times on these teen shows, you know, it's a little...
You're going for the face and not the talent.
Yeah, and I feel like on this, they got both.
Yeah.
We love that.
Yes. They do it differently in England, you know?
They really do. That is so true. There is not a British show a British like teen show that I haven't liked. They're all just a step above, I think, and I love it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we've done it, Claire. We've broken down all of Sex Education. We are ready for the new season coming out soon.
Yes, we will be back after season 4 drops to talk all about how they wrap up this beautiful, warm, sexy, funny hug of a show.
And I really can't wait. I think we can talk about it even more. So tune in for that.
Don't forget to follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Rate and review us. You can follow us on TikTok and Instagram at @previouslyon_teentv, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening.
All right.
Did you hear us talk about sex?
She gave personal experience.
I did.
Yeah. Details.
Yeah.